Nonprofits are often seen as the soul of our communities, but how are they navigating the legal, financial, and operational pressures of a rapidly changing world? To help us unpack that, I'm joined by two people I deeply respect. First, my colleague and partner, Marlon Hill, known for his work with nonprofit governance, civic leadership, and legal strategy. And also, the incredible Jocelyne Moussavou, Vice President of Service Contracts at Goodwill South Florida. So Marlon, let's start with you. Marlon Hill, okay? You are what I like to call America's homeboy. I just feel like everybody knows Marlon Hill. Anytime I'm out and about somewhere, if I mention why I Sirota, I mention what I do, even if I don't, it's always like, you know Marlon? I'm like, yeah, I know Marlon. Everybody does. So Marlon, you have helped dozens, maybe hundreds of community-based organizations, whether it's entrepreneurs or businesses, nonprofits, to really set up and govern, right? So you've seen a lot and you've done a lot. From your lens, what is the state of nonprofit, governance right now? Like, what is the main pressing issues that you think nonprofits are facing?
Well, the nonprofit ecosystem in South Florida is rich and contributes so much to our economy. Right here in Miami-Dade County, we have well over 10,000 nonprofits in various sectors, with healthcare being the leading sector. There's no part of our community that's not touched by a nonprofit. Education, arts and culture, youth services, social services, folks with developmental disabilities. There's so much in the economy, contributing well over 23 billion in our economy. So it's strong. We have one of the strongest philanthropic ecosystems in America, right? Not only Miami-Dade County, but extending to Broward and extending to Palm Beach as well. So in addition to the corporations that we represent in the private sector, nonprofits doesn't necessarily mean no profits, right? Because all companies, all organizations, whether you are a city, whether you are a small business, whether you are a medium-sized company or a nonprofit, everyone wants to operate in the black, right? But these organizations play such a critical role between government and the private sector that they need the similar type of representation, just like municipalities and just like for-profits or entrepreneurs as well.
And needing that representation, I think some of the maybe smaller nonprofits, and then you initially might think, yeah, I may need this, but can I afford it? Like, where is that funding going to come from? So what do you tell a nonprofit that's just starting out when it comes down to legal representation?
Many companies and organizations start right at the living room table,
right?
Dining room, in the backyard, two friends from college or two friends from work saying, listen, I want to change this. I want to have an impact. My child suffers from autism, and I want to get her or to get him more direct services. I want to do something about that. And then these two friends or three friends, it takes three people officially to start a nonprofit organization. And the next thing that you know, they have a bank account. They are operating out of home or community center. They grow, they get grants from municipalities, cities, counties. They get donations from their friends. And then they start to provide more services, and then they expand. So many of the clients that we represent started just like this.
Right.
Whether they are well over 90 years old, like the Miami Lighthouse for the Blind, or whether they're like Goodwill that are several decades old, or Casa Familia that's building developmental housing for the developmentally disabled community that started 5 years ago. So you have small, you have medium size, you have large organizations like Miami Foundation or United Way. So the philanthropic ecosystem, when you donate as a person or when you provide services like we do as a law firm, we are not just contributing to the services that are providing, we are impacting the economy as well.
Right. So it sounds like you're saying that there is room to grow into it, right? There's room to establish yourself, maybe starting off at that diner table or that living room table, and then you grow, and then you might be able to start to fund things such as attorneys to help you with those protections for sure.
Yeah, in fact, any company that is starting out, whether you are a media company or whether you're a fashion design company with my friend here, Jocelyne, you have to have a plan,
Right.
right? You have to build a support system. You have to have a team, accountant, a marketing team, and of course, having a lawyer when you're sitting down at the table crafting your business plan. Whether it's a nonprofit business plan, Chanae, or whether it's a for-profit business plan, you need to have a lawyer on your team that's helping you craft the governance, helping you craft your contracts, helping you craft, protect the intellectual property that you may have, looking out for red flags that may be in the government that you are operating, right?
Right.
Do you have the right permits, the right licenses? Are you operating within the code of that particular city? Can you operate this nonprofit out of your home? Some people may think you can, but the homeowners association may prevent it. The village may prevent it. So these are big decisions, and you don't want to go to your lawyer just when stuff hits the fan.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let's get a little bit into, I would say, the soul of the work, right? So I want to speak to your good friend, but now my good friend too, because she's just amazing. Jocelyne, can you share a little bit about the work that you do with Goodwill? Because I think, and I'll tell you my misconception, right, of what I thought Goodwill was. Which I think a lot of us might think as well, right? You go into a Goodwill store, you purchase, an item, or you may even donate some items, but you only kind of see Goodwill in that lens of clothing and donations, and that's it. But can you share a little bit and enlighten us what Goodwill actually does?
Great question, Chanae. Thank you. Happy to share that we are a mission-based non-for-profit, and we are a social enterprise, which is a little bit different than your traditional non-for-profit organization. And so the component that really makes us different with the social enterprise piece of it is because we understand from our perspective that in order to support that mission that we have, we need to generate a certain amount of revenue. And so the social enterprise model has revenue streams that support that mission. And so when you go into the store and you purchase an item, 95% of the sale of that item goes back into the mission. And so that really is what drives and supports our organization. So for Goodwill Industries, South Florida, we have 6 business enterprises that we run that generate revenue for the operations that we do in support of people with disabilities and barriers to work. And those include, as you mentioned, so you mentioned the retail stores, which is what Goodwill is known for, and that really is a good chunk of where our revenue comes from. But we have other revenue generators, such as service contracts, which I oversee, which includes providing services to the community, and it provides jobs. And so we go out and we secure contracts where we can provide janitorial services, we can provide landscaping services, and food preparation services for a plethora of customers and clients. And what that does is that allows us to employ people with disabilities and barriers to work, pay them an amazing living wage, very competitive, that allows them to have a great quality of life, benefits, and all of the things that we all look for. So that's just one stream of revenue. We have e-commerce, we have laundry services, we have apparel manufacturing. We basically have just a bunch of different revenue streams that really all support that mission of providing employment for people with disabilities and barriers to work. So all of those revenue streams create what we call a social, that's basically what supports our mission and allows us to be a social enterprise. And we run that organization, we run Goodwill as, although it is a non-for-profit, we run it as a for-profit company. And Marlon made a great reference to it earlier. We are exposed to the same things that a for-profit organization has to deal with, such as the rising cost of rent, competition with wages, making sure that our supplies remain competitive. We have to train our staff and make sure that they provide a quality of work that is competitive, because we cannot slip on the quality of our services. And so these are all things that we're subject to. And we really strive our best to stay at par with those types of requirements.
See, I bet y'all did not know that because I feel like that is something that's so overlooked. Like I'm telling you, it is the work that you're doing far exceeds what we see out of a retail store. I want to talk a little bit more about some of the individuals that you're impacting, right? Because what nonprofit work, what makes it different for-profit, and I'm not saying that profit is a bad thing, right? There's a place for every type of business, right? We all have our own separate ventures, but the work that nonprofits do is really special in knowing of how it's affecting our communities. And so, do you have any examples from your perspective of some of the work that you've done where you felt as if, man, this is why I'm doing this?
Yes, I think we see it every day, and I really speak for a lot of the leaders, all the leaders in our organization. We are, again, a mission-driven organization where when we come into work every day, it's to make an impact in the lives of the people in the community that we serve. So examples that we have every single day are folks who may not be able to hold a job or compete for a secular job because they have a disability, or they have a mental illness, or they have a criminal background that will not allow them to compete or to get a certain type of job. And so we're sort of the second opportunity or third or fourth opportunity that people can come to and still have good quality of life and have another chance. And as most of us know, we really need, in order to be motivated and to do the best that we can, a lot of this is really self-motivation, and so we provide that. And so I think that for all of the leaders who work in non-for-profit and who are a part of Goodwill or any non-for-profit organization that's mission-driven, being able to tell those success stories of people who come in who may not have a place to stay, they may be homeless, and they're able to start working with us, and then we're able to provide these wraparound services, which are part of the services that we provide, all supported by those revenues that are coming in from our various businesses. And so we're able to connect people with opportunities with other non-for-profits. And so we all work together in a network of being able to say, well, now they have a job at Goodwill.
Right.
Now they can have an opportunity for housing with one of our non-for-profit organizations. And then they have a structure, and they can get transportation through various organizations that we also partner with. And so it just becomes a web and a network of support for those individuals who probably were not going to be able to make it, on their own. And so that's really what brings us joy every single day.
That's beautiful. And speaking of web and community, Marlon, you're engaged a lot in our community, whether it's here, whether it's abroad in Jamaica. Share with us a little about what experiences you've, experienced lately or throughout the years that really has made an impact in terms of what you do and why you do it.
Yeah, I think it's very important for us. We're busy professionals, whether lawyers, nonprofit executives, or entrepreneurs, and we tend to forget that we live in a community that serves us, right? And how do you do what you do best professionally in terms of your own superpower, but find time to donate time to organizations that are providing critical services to our community. So you can volunteer, but like us here at Weiss Rodo, we not only do that, but we also provide critical services for these organizations that contribute to our economy. For me, Chanae, one of my first two experiences that really cemented the importance of being at the intersection of what you do professionally and also making sure that you find time to do what you do in the community. As a young lawyer, well over 25 years ago, the partner at the law firm that I was, George Knox, he gave me the challenge of taking over the law firm's United Way's campaign. So I'm 20-something years old, and he said, we need some help with someone leading that. And I didn't know exactly what that really meant, but I was a corporate lawyer, and being involved in the community was important to me. So I stepped up to do that. And that really exposed me to what the full breadth of our philanthropic ecosystem was in United Way, and what the United Way does as one of those anchor institutions that connects us to the services that we provide. The second experience was my aunt wanted to do a pivot. She wanted to leave, my Aunt Rosie, she wanted to leave the pharmaceutical industry, and she wanted to start an art gallery as an incubator to support artists. And so she said, Marlon, you're the only lawyer in the family, so hey, listen, this is your project. And so I helped her to start a nonprofit organization in Wynwood when no one wanted to go to Wynwood, supporting artists. And now you go to Wynwood, it's all about art.
Right.
And she was one of those organizations that basically changed the landscape for the support of artists in Miami. So I say all of that to say that you never know what need there is going to be in the community at a particular time, right? Whether it's in South Broward, in Fort Lauderdale, or whether it's here in Miami, or wherever it may be, there's always a need to be filled, right? There are nonprofit organizations that exist to do that, and I think it's important for us here at our law firm, where we are supporting organizations in local government, but within the private sector as well. There's always a symbiotic relationship, because everyone wants the government to do this and to do that for their nonprofits, when in fact governments can't do everything. So this is where the rest of the community has to come in. So
with that being said, I feel like we can't talk about nonprofits without talking about funding.
Yeah.
The two go hand in hand, and a lot of times it's what is keeping some board members and some directors right now, and keeping them up at night.
100%.
Right? The idea of this state that we're in, and budget season and potential cuts. What advice, or what, if you could speak directly to a board member, what would you say in this moment?
Everyone wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to pay for the pathway to get there.
I think that's a bar. I don't know. Right. I feel like that was our viral mic drop moment right there.
Right. We have to be able to put some skin in the game to do the things that we need to do. Goodwill survives on layers of certain funding: federal funds, state funds, county funds, city funds, and then private donors. They cannot depend on one over the other. Just like your financial portfolio, you have to diversify. Right? You can't put all your eggs in one basket. But what I would say, though, is that government may be able to do its part, but if the belt gets tightened, this is where the rest of the community has to step up. Give Miami Day. If you're not part of the philanthropic ecosystem, you don't know about Give Miami Day, then you are not doing your part, right? Give Miami Day is an annual giving day where the rest of the community gives to their favorite nonprofit, right? 10 years ago, it raised $1.2 million for the first year. Last year, it raised $39 million.
Wow.
10 years later, right? Only 50,000 unique donations gave $40 million to the nonprofits in Miami-Dade County. What does that mean? We have 2.8 million people, and only 50,000 people gave a minimum of $25 to raise $40 million. What if, let's just say, for argument's sake, Jocelyne, let's just say 100,000 or 200,000 decided to give more, then we would raise 80 million. So companies, families, individuals, we actually have to do more to help our nonprofits give back to us.
That's such a good point, and I think something that's overlooked, because we all see it. Like we see Give Miami Day, we see the donation.
You get the
requests,
emails.
You get the emails, right? We see it, but then there's that feeling that's like, well, I don't know where my money's going to, and I don't think I want to give. And that's why these conversations are so important, and to have representative from Goodwill or all the other brands that you know of and you think of. But sometimes it's about really understanding, putting a face even to the people that you are helping and the people that you are actually transforming their lives. You want to add to that?
I'd like to add to
Go
that
ahead.
because very good points, Marlon. Thank you. And when you say adding a face or connecting with a face to someone, that's really important. So you were asking the question about board members. basically creating partnerships and getting our face and our names out there is really something that's really important for these types of events to be successful. And so I think another message that we could also give to our board members and to our non-for-profits is also being flexible. Flexibility is
good.
really critical for us to basically continue to survive in this environment. And that means critically thinking. That means board members need to encourage leadership and their organizations to be critical thinkers, to be nimble, and to be flexible, because there are fluctuations that happen. And so we need to be creative, we need to be nimble, and we need to be partners in network.
So picking up on that, right? Have either one of you seen nonprofits in this season be creative, or are there any creative things that you can think of yourselves that are good examples of showing how to be nimble, how to be flexible?
Yes, so I will give our example of Goodwill. So our Goodwill has been in existence since 1965, although Goodwill as a brand has been around for hundreds of years, for at least 100 years, I'll say. And so part of our creative thinking in generating revenue is the creation of our e-commerce department and division. And that is a revenue stream that we basically rely on, because our understanding of how this generation of people shop, how we connect with our community, is everything is done online. And so creating a revenue generating stream through e-commerce is critical for us in order to reach those folks who are thrifting, who are shopping, and who do not necessarily want to go to a brick and mortar store, or who may not have the accessibility to do that. And so that's a creative way that we came up with. Another one that has to do with creativity is understanding and wanting to learn more, and this is what we're actively doing at Goodwill Industries South Florida, is textile recycling. And so we know that sustainability is a key word here and on the planet. And so because as Goodwill we touch a lot of textiles, we feel that there is a need and a duty to basically be responsible in understanding how we can recycle those materials and turn them around and sell them back to designers, sell them back to manufacturers, so that we can be more sustainable as an organization. So we are actually in that learning process as we speak, in understanding how we can grade fabrics and basically break them down and then recycle them and sell them back as a recycled product or as a recycled fabric, so that they can be reused in the apparel manufacturing division. And so those are some of the creative ways that we have really tried to stay relevant and remain focused on generating revenue and supporting our mission.
I'm glad you shared that too, because I'm telling you, you keep enlightening me, because I'm just like, oh, I can shop online for Goodwill. I didn't know that was a thing.
Telling you, don't sleep on Goodwill, man.
I don't.
I'm gonna see you in an outfit soon.
I know. I will happily, gladly model it for you. But absolutely, I think that it's so important for us, even in society as a whole. Like, we have to be able to be flexible, to go outside of our normal box, right? And something I always use as an example, COVID really changed the way we do work,
100%.
business. Yes. We had to learn to adjust. Yes. And yes, it was a very dark time, especially for a lot of families who felt lost. But through it, also brought out some innovative ways for us to thrive. We see this heightened ability to even enjoy our families and still work and operate. Zoom meetings, so many things came out of that. And it was a matter of us being flexible.
Listen, life is always going to be lifing, right?
Hello.
Whether it's a pandemic, whether it's a hurricane, South Florida, it could be something in our political stratosphere that's changing. Nonprofits and even our entrepreneurs, we always have to be ready to kind of pivot and to change your strategy, right? And this is why it's important to have the right strategic leadership on your board, to have the right relationships with community stakeholders, to hear what they're thinking and what they need, to make sure that you are talking about the work with your elected officials, not what you call the work in these days, but the work itself and what your mission is and what your values are, is very, very important for nonprofits to be sustainable and to survive, whatever is happening in the noise of politics. The nonprofits that do well are paying attention to the noise, but not getting lost in the noise.
Right. There was a debate on LinkedIn, maybe not a debate, some back and forth. And a commenter said, well, an individual who posted something basically stated that nonprofits' goals should be eventually to end. You should not continue your nonprofit. If you are serving and there's a need, then your goal really should be to how can I eradicate that need, right? What's your take? What's your take on this debate? Because there was a lot of back and forth about...
This person seems to be living in a bubble, Joss. What do you think?
I think that's not realistic.
Yeah.
And again, I'll pull you guys into what our goal is and how we live that reality. So basically, every year we have about 1,000 people, staff members that cycle out of Goodwill through opportunities that come. So they come into Goodwill and they are employed there and they gain a certain amount of skills and they basically learn all these traits and then they're ready for the next better opportunity. And so that is the person that goes out and applies for a job or an opportunity outside of Goodwill and gets the next better job. And then they keep going and going. And so for us, those 1,000 people that we cycle through every year, yes, we're losing 1,000 people in our organization, but that opens the door for 1,000 more people to cycle through. And that's how we measure our success. So going back to that example of eradicating, the use of a non-for-profit, in that example, no, we want to continue to see those numbers cycle through because that means that's 1,000 more people that we're touching. And so that's what success looks like for us.
And the debate of trying to think, living in an America that is so multicultural and multifaceted. You have immigrants coming here all the time. You have women being diagnosed with breast cancer every day. You have kids that are growing up in communities that are not equitably serviced and the things that they need. So there's going to be innovation and creativity and strategic thought given to ensure that people can live, work, play in the communities in a way that everyone can have access to, right? Irrespective of their background, irrespective of their language, irrespective of their religion. And nonprofits are the place where the gap is filled. To think that we can just do away with nonprofits and feel that society is going to provide what the society needs is a little naive, unfortunately.
Just a little bit.
Tad bit.
Tad bit. Well, look, what I want to know from your perspective, what is your hope for the future of nonprofits? Like, what do you hope to see within the next 5-10 years?
So for us, again, we like to see success stories multiplied because that is a true measurement of our success. So we want to see the numbers of people and lives that we're impacting grow. We want to see further partnerships with other non-for-profits and other organizations. And we really appreciate the support that we get from organizations such as Weiss Serota, who help us sort of navigate all of the intricacies of the communities that we live in. And so we really want to see more collaboration at all levels because that's really what makes us stronger. It creates a very strong web of support, and it really allows us to measure our success.
Nice.
As a past board trustee with the Miami Foundation, and I just recently decided to join the board of Philanthropy Miami, I think that we have to be able to create a stronger ecosystem that allows to help nonprofits have greater capacity, build more capacity. That's one, because I do think that when you have a healthier ecosystem for philanthropy, those nonprofits can thrive. Number two, we have to build a pipeline of board members and new leaders. There are young professionals returning back home to Miami. There are young professionals that are joining different things that they care about in their communities, but many of them may not know exactly how to serve on a board, right? So I think that the Philanthropy Miami and Miami Foundation, they just started a board matching pilot program to match persons that have a passion and a superpower, how can we match them with a nonprofit? So in the future, if we can build a pipeline of stronger, more innovative, more courageous board members, and then you can have an ecosystem that is more supportive of those nonprofits, then there may be less dependency on funding on government, but maybe we can have smarter investment from government to support the ecosystem, rather than everyone stressing about the budget cuts, right? Because at some point, money in, money out, right? And the amount of money that's coming in is not going to change. Just like at home, when you say to your significant other or you say to your kids, already gave you your allowance, there's no more money coming, right? So we have to be able to kind of balance that out and understand the math. It's not always mathing, right? It has to make sense.
Yes, it does. And to the individual who might be watching this and thinking to themselves, do I need to do something? Should I do something? There's so many nonprofits. Is there a place for me? Like, what do you say to them? Do you say do it? Do you say maybe collaborate first? What's the advice to that component?
Are you asking if it's regarding someone who wants to open up a non-for-profit? So I think Marlon brought that up really well. Yes, these conversations are definitely do it. There's plenty of playroom for everyone. And there may be some tweaks that may differentiate that person's nonprofit for something that is already there. But have the conversation, jump in, do your research, and hire a good attorney
Yes.
so that you can stay informed and stay aware of what the trends are. Knowledge is power. So definitely do the research, surround yourself with the right people, and stay focused on your mission, because that's going to be the driver of your non-for-profit, is that mission that is going to take you to the next level, and it's going to take you from one room to another, to one funding stream or opportunity to another.
Great advice from the both of you. Now, before we wrap up, we like to do...
I'd like to add to that, though.
Oh, okay.
For sure.
Go ahead.
Definitely love to add to that. I mean, everyone has a superpower and a talent, right? And everyone also has a passion, right? So I do believe that there's space for folks that may be listening or watching, wherever you are, to find something that's in the community that you care about. It could be an issue. Match it with the talent and superpower that you have, and be a super volunteer. Yes. Or you could be a founder of a nonprofit, right? Start with a committee, start with a specific community event. And I promise you, sometimes your nonprofit board service turns into client development from other board members, from connecting in the community. I would say that with my practice, for sure, serving on a board or supporting a nonprofit that you care about turns into other things, lifelong friends, relationships, and it could also help to support your profession as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for the added piece. That was good. Now, look, there's a little fun part. You don't need no notes, no nothing for this, okay? So we like to call this segment wishful thinking. And so it's rapid fire. Don't think too hard on it. You can say pass, maybe, but these questions are pretty lightweight. Don't worry about it. So we just want to know, have a little fun with you. So for both of you, Jamaican patties or conch fritters?
Jamaican patties.
Come on, man. Jamaican patties. Hands down.
All right, so I gave you that was a little easy one. Dance hall or Junkanoo?
Dance hall.
Dance hall.
Yeah, okay. Football or football? Did I say it right? American football or soccer? For us, American football.
You're talking to a Jamaican and a Senegalese.
Oh, gosh, yeah. So it would be football.
It would be football.
Okay.
Football.
Nonprofit gala or a neighborhood cookout?
Nonprofit gala.
Cookout. I think the galas are losing a little bit. They got to innovate.
Yeah.
They got to switch it up a little bit, I think.
So too. Yeah. I do like to get, nice and dolled up,
but you guys did not attend the Goodwill Gala that we had. So I have to say that you guys missed one, and it was awesome.
So it was a gala cookout?
It was not a cookout, but it was a great event. So yeah, so definitely.
And when is that usually?
So we don't have it every year. The last one we had was 4 years ago. Well, we had one in November of last year, and We will not be having one this year. So it's not something that happens every year, but it's generally associated with fashion because of Goodwill and the clothing. And we had an amazing fashion show where the designer went in and shopped in our stores and redesigned clothing, and everybody came out. It was just amazing. So I encourage you to go on our website. I believe that we do have photos of the gala. The fundraising was outrageous and amazing. It was a big success. We had a lot of great things. So I say definitely non-for-profit gala all the way.
All right. So we're missing out, apparently. I don't know, Marlon. We need to go to the Goodwill Gala. I don't know. That's where it's at.
Get in the fashion show or something.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Serve the board or serve the people?
Serve the people.
Serve the board.
Okay.
The board will serve the people.
Okay. South Florida summer or DC winter?
South Florida summer, every time.
Really?
Hands down, South Florida summer.
Of course.
We're tropical people here.
I know. Paper bylaws or shared Google Drive?
Shared Google Drive.
Okay.
Paper bylaws.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta.
That's the attorney in him.
Yeah. Pull out the highlighter and
Yes.
the red pen.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Unless you're a magic with your pencil, you're
Okay, last
stylist.
one. Greatest Caribbean artist of all time?
Greatest Caribbean artist of all time.
Is that tough? Is that a tough
That's
one?
a tough one. Oh my
I was
God.
greatest,
aiming for that, y'all.
greatest artist of all time.
All right, I'll take out
Yeah.
Caribbean. No?
Well,
Did
I
some
mean,
wishful drinking for that
so
one.
so I know I'm a music person. So of course I think Bob Marley is amazing. His mission and his drive and what he was trying to communicate touched a lot of people. It touched a lot of music and genres across the world. And so I think for me it would be Bob.
Okay.
I can sign off on that.
I thought that was a given for you.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
too easy.
assumed
Yeah.
it was.
I think that would be the obvious, but Bob is just transformational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Agree.
for sure.
Wow.
You can't miss. The kids love Bob. The
beat is
Tennis.
infectious. Again,
the lyrics still have resonate.
Absolutely. And the mission, the message is there.
Yeah.
And that's what holds the glue together. That's the glue that holds everything together.
Right. And I think that is the key when it comes down to being a sustainable, long-term nonprofit as well. That mission, that goal, it just transcends this earth, this life, and just keeps on over and over and over again.
Yes.
So good note to end on, a Bob note. So thank you both so much for joining us. This was an absolute pleasure. I do hope that you all enjoyed this episode, that you learned a little bit, that you even felt inspired to go out and reach your own goals and to achieve and to help this world be greater. I am your host, Chanae Wood. This is The Intersection, and we are so happy to have had you join us. Tune in next time for our next episode.